Hello and welcome, it's Adam from Better Proposals here, and today I'm here in Javier in Spain. And what I want to talk to you about today is how to send proposals in 2016. Now, you might be thinking, sending a proposal is sending a proposal. You're just putting together your details, your price, whatever. But as time's gone on, as technology has advanced and people expect more and different things, and the web world has come on leaps and bounds, proposals have to do that as well, because it's when you're viewing something on your computer screen, you want to see it in its best light. So proposals have to do the same thing or have to keep up with how cool websites look and are. So I've come up with a couple of different reasons or elements, I suppose, that you need to include really in your proposals if you're going to have them stand out and look awesome to your clients. So the first one is design. Now, if your design sucks, spend money on it because it breeds confidence. If your design looks good, look at Apple's stuff. Do you ever look at Apple's stuff? And if you're one of those people that's all into Android stuff and you think Apple's rubbish or whatever, just turn it off. But seriously, looking at Apple's stuff, they don't make any mistakes. Everything breeds confidence. It's one of those things that because they've got everything down and everything looks decent and it looks consistent, it breeds confidence and you feel happy to engage with that company or use those products. So having your design, look and feel as good as it possibly can be is going to be one of the most important things that you can do. So spend some time, effort and money on making sure that design looks good. Keep things consistent. Which brings us on to our second point, which is brand consistency. So if you've got one company name, one logo, and a color scheme, and you consider that your brand, cool. Think deeper though. What fonts do you use? What kind of line spacing do you go with? What kind of languaging do you use? And that's just if you've got something very, very simple. Now, if you've got a company that's maybe got a couple of different products and you've got your main company and then you kind of sell yourself off as this as well, things can get really, really messy when you, for instance, are sending your proposal from one email address, you've got a different thing in your email signature, there's a different logo at the top of the proposal, there's a call to action of some URL that doesn't match or whatever. So keep everything consistent, because when there's inconsistencies, it's just those tiny little seeds of doubt that start to creep into people's minds, and that's what you want to avoid at all costs. This is sort of a 15-20 minute window in which you've got to sell yourself. And you can't do anything about it now. You've done the meeting. This is just you sending stuff. So this has to be as good as it can possibly be. So another thing is personalization. So when I say personalization, I don't mean writing the specifics about that particular company. I mean trying to tailor parts of your proposal that otherwise would be templated. And for instance, your front cover on your proposal. Maybe it'd be quite cool if that company was into fitness. If you had, a guy or a girl, running and a nice cool shot of, some trainers or whatever. Something along those lines would immediately, just right off the bat, they're going to look at that and think, this is us. And it's those little things that, all of these things make like 0.1% of a difference. But when you add them up, you end up with quite a decent difference over what maybe your competitors are doing. Okay, so really put some time and effort into trying to personalize these proposals and trying to make it really, really, really about them. So the next thing is video, and with the world runs on video now. Obviously you're watching this. I don't know, you're probably watching it either on YouTube or on our blog or somewhere like that. But video is a massive part of how we consume information in this day and age. And that doesn't stop with proposals. It continues there. And if anything, you should use it to your advantage, because it's a lot of effort to put this kind of stuff together. I'm talking into one £2,000 camera. I've got another £2,000 camera there. And that's not including all the audio equipment I've got sitting underneath me. So, this is just to sort of like knock up a very, really a kind of basic video. That's the way that the world is going. You don't need to go to that extent. You can just shoot something with your iPhone. It's all good enough these days. Just make sure there's some half sensible lighting. But put some video in there. If you can use yourself, if you can talk to the camera. I'm not running on any scripts or anything like that. I just find this quite easy, really. You might disagree if you don't like it, but you know, it's one of those things. If you can do it, great. If not, then you want to find another way of incorporating video into how you put your proposals together. It could be before and after stuff. It could be case studies, and I'll get onto that in a second. But find any way you can to get video in there. But if I had to say the ultimate thing, it would be recording a personalized introduction for the client, and also getting a video case study done if you can. You know, spending a few £100 with a video company to just get somebody to come in, you record that footage with a couple of your clients would last you for years. Very much well worth it. On the subject of case studies, that's our fifth point. So you need to prove that you can do the job. It's not good enough anymore that you know. Of course you know. You do it every day. It's your life. It's everything that you know and care about. But that's not the same for your clients. They don't necessarily think about things like that. And they're looking at these pieces of paper or a computer screen thinking, is this the right company for me? And you have to prove that you are. There's no other way of doing it. Now, you can sell yourself well in the meeting. You can do really well on the phone. You can have, you know, a fancy website. You can have a really good proposal. You can have the best price. But if ultimately you can't convince them without any doubt whatsoever that you are the company to do this by way of proof and saying, we've done this before. This isn't just the first time we've done this. We've done this again and again and again and again. And here are all those people. And here are all the results that they got. This is what we did before. This is what they had before. This is what they've got afterwards. This is what it's like, you know, a month on, a year on. You obsess over that proof and get it together and get a library of case studies and testimonials and screenshots of text saying how awesome something is, or an email, or you know, a voicemail. Just call up a client and say, look, can you just ring me back? I'm going to let it run to voicemail, and just record a voicemail and just say thanks for whatever you've done, or tell us the result you've got. Really, really, you know, obsess over that stuff, because quite honestly, if you don't do it, you've got a real uphill struggle. If you can't get your head around that, just try and imagine running up an escalator that's coming down. That's probably about what it's like. So the last and final point is removing any risk that they could possibly have. Now, depending on your industry, this is going to be easier or more difficult. Now, if you've got to go and do 3 weeks work before you can even slightly start to prove what you've done, then you're obviously going to struggle to give like a money back guarantee. It's not remotely feasible. But find a way to give a guarantee, or a just remove the risk. Literally try and get it to a point where if you screw things up and it goes wrong, they win. If you can get it to that point, they're going to be looking at it thinking, all right, brilliant. So, you know, you could do that through a way of guarantee. I mean, I'll give you a super quick example. When we were doing custom software, you know, 5-6 years ago, we obviously couldn't go in and do £20,000 worth of software development and then go, so do you like it? You know, no, I don't like it. Okay, well, here's your 20 grand back. Like, that was not going to work. But what we worked out was that the fear point wasn't really around the money. It was largely around the fact that they didn't know what the hell this thing was going to look like. There was no screenshots for them to look at. It was purely conceptual. It was all in my head, and there was no way of them understanding that. So they didn't really know what they were buying. They were buying an idea, which is quite hard to do. So what we did was we said, okay, look, we'll go away. We will draw up a load of screenshots, and then we'll come back and we'll walk you through all of your processes in the context of your new screenshots. If after we've left, you don't have to do it to my face, you don't have to be awkward about it. After we've left, you can send me a text and say, look, sorry, don't think you've understood this, no problem, and we'll give you your 10% back, which was all we asked for at the time. So that's all they're putting up, 10%, which, okay, fair enough, it's $2,000, but we were going to say we were going to give that $2,000 back to them if we didn't, or they didn't feel that we'd understood their business well enough. So that was a way of taking a big job and breaking a tiny little part off and using the guarantee on that. Now, if they committed, then they were all in, but it enabled them a get out at a point where they didn't understand what was going on. So there's 6 things. I hope that you know, they can be helpful to you. And really, if you're not doing some of those things, or at least, you know, maybe work on one a month for the next sort of 6 months, and really just sort of try and get that stuff into your proposals and really try and sort of beef them up to the point where they're really standing on their own 2 feet and working for your company like any other good salesperson would. So enjoy. I'm off to go and get some dinner. Take care, and I'll see you soon.